Thank you for showing us possibilities, what is possible beyond the traditional means of doing things. I see your work with some of these financial institutions, and I want to say, well done, sir.
Thank
So
you.
my first question will be that at Micdee, that's what can you tell us about what you do? And for me, I want to take the question deeper. Like, how were you able to even niche down to that extent, like on a personal level? How were you able
Okay, so
to niche down? Because in the profession, there's problem with, it's not like there's a problem, but with the younger ones, we find it difficult to niche down at the beginning of our career. So, and
yeah.
how and what do you do at McD? Then my personal question is, how were you able to niche down, like just get down to that niche?
Okay. Okay. Well, first of all, like I was saying, we're a workplace solutions company. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, sir.
Yes. We're a workplace solutions company. And basically what we do is we try to create the best environments for businesses to do their best work. That's to put it in the simplest sense. Yeah. And so that means we play across multiple industries, from architecture to interior design, to graphics design to technology. We're playing across different industries at different points in time. But because my background is architecture, it's very easy for people to say, oh, we design and build offices. What we do is a lot more than that. That's what it looks like from the public. And that's that in a way, that's what we also maybe use to attract our clients to work with us. So when they start to work with us, they then see the full extent of the benefits we bring in. Yeah. So that's in a niche, that's what Micdee does. What How did we get to this point? I think I've shared this story quite a number of times, how we arrived at where we are today. It wasn't, for lack of a better word, it wasn't planned. I would say we stumbled into it. I didn't start with the mindset of being in the workplace design and workplace experience industry, but we stumbled into it with the first biggest projects we worked with. Well, let's say our flagship project, which was the design of the Softcom office. That's when we did that, and we saw the reaction it got from our clients, from the public as well. We started to get more opportunities in that field, and so it just made sense to focus on that niche and just go deep into it, like you said. So that's how we are in the industry where we are.
Another question I would love to ask is that going through Micdee's profile, I
Yeah,
discovered that you work with young minds.
yeah.
Yeah, so how were you able to, when it comes to project management, how were you able to coordinate them with this Gen Z and all these things going around the workplaces with Gen Z and all of that? So
Well, okay.
how were you able to?
First of all, I'm a young mind. Let me say that I'm a young mind. I'm just 32, so, and I'm not Gen Z. So let's start from that. All young people are not Gen Z. Right? You people can cancel us. We're still young. So that's one. But
Sir, but
I
you're not
think
Gen Z.
no, I'm not Gen Z, but I'm
Yeah,
young.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll just on the light on.
Who are young, yeah. So we do have a rich mix of millennials and Gen Z in the office, and I've said this multiple times. I know I'm blessed to have the people that I currently have as my employees. Yeah, so I would say that first. I think God has really blessed us well to even have this set of people to work with, and people that have worked with us since the inception of the company. I'll say that first.
Wow.
Secondly, I think I think the Gen Z generation has been unfairly, for lack of a better word, I think they've been unfairly, I don't think marginalized, but we've grouped them as this lazy set of people that don't want to work but want to reap results. And I think, first of all, I think that's unfair. I don't think it's a um, correct definition of who they are or what they are, what they can do. I think they are a bolder version of the millennials in terms of they know what they want and they go for it
Yes.
and they stand for it. And
Yes, sir.
they are strong-willed enough to know that life is not short. Many times people say life is very short, but I don't think life is short. I don't think life is short because people have switched their careers at 40, and Gen Zs have come to know that I can switch up everything, even if I've gone 6 years in school. I can switch up everything and start something else. For millennials, it takes some time to get to that point. It takes some time before we click and say, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't think it's paying me well. So now, from that aspect, you then bring that mindset of a Gen Z that we stand for what is good and we'll go for what is good. And then you
Yes,
bring
sir.
them in an organization that affords them the opportunity to be different, to think out of the box, to
Yes.
explore unique things, to be able to build innovation without any boundaries. I think you can get a lot of, for lack of a better word, a lot of results from that. So I would say we're blessed to have the Gen Z guys we have in the office. I think that they're quite a number, maybe half of, I think we're about 50 something now, 56 thereabouts.
Wow.
So like, I think maybe roughly half of them are Gen Z, and they're a blessed set of people to have in the office.
Wow. So, I said, Michael said, Gen Zs are not lazy. They are people who, though they are different, you just have to accommodate us, like just give us room to grow and think out of the box. We are good thinkers, we are innovators, and we love doing things in a different way. It might not be traditional, it might not be something everybody is used to, but the results usually would blow your mind because
Yeah.
we always bring out a different perspective. So before I go on to the next question, while you were talking, something statement you made, I really want us to express it further.
Okay.
Most people in this industry, they have issues with retaining good talent. So you said you have people that have been with you for a while.
Yeah.
So how
Yeah.
are you able to do that? Do you have systems in place? Do you have trainings in place? Do you have things that will just make them want to? Because for me, I think the first day I got to my own place of work, I had to ask my boss that how do I grow? How do I make sure that I don't get bored? Why doing the same thing every day
Yeah.
and every now and then? So I would love to know what retainership systems do you have that helps you have a lot of people that have been working with you for that long?
So first of all, employees are they're first individuals before they are part of the collective. And I'll explain what that means. They're individuals in the sense that everyone has their goals, their aspirations. Everyone has what they plan to do with their lives. And anyone that joins your company at a particular time believes they can get something from your company at that point in time. Even if it's for some people it's purely financial. For some people
Yes,
it's
sir.
passion driven. For some people it's impact driven. So it varies, and it's good to know which of your employees have what is driving them at every point in time. So
Okay.
everybody has things that drive them, and everyone has let's say times and seasons that they've planned in their lives. So even in the same Micdee, we've had people leave, we've had people transition to different industries, we've had people japa. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Understanding reality is that will happen. People move, people transition, people grow. But more often than not, if your company is consistently growing, if year on year there's, like you said, you don't want to get bored. If year on year you're doing something different, you're doing something unique, you're innovating in your industry. If you do that and people are also growing with that as well, then sometimes I just find some certain talents in your team that their goals and aspirations align with your company. And so even where they see themselves in the next 2, 3, 4 years, your company is almost growing faster than their aspirations. And so it makes sense for them to stay in the company. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So that's the first thing. First, you need to treat your individuals as different, your employees as individuals first. Understand what is driving them. For some people, it's money. For some people, it's passion. For some people, it's influence. For some people, it's impact. You know what drives a person, and then you see how you can either meet their needs or just be that, well, I say, their bus stop before their next goal. But the goal is to get the best from everyone at every point in time by making
Got
sure
it.
that they're getting value as much as you are getting value. So that's how I've been able to keep people in the D on this. And the financial part is a big aspect as well. I
Yes,
think
sir.
3 years ago, dollar to naira was 400 thereabouts. Today
Yes,
is
sir.
1.6. So it means anybody that was there, like it needs to even show in their salaries as well, in their remuneration. That's I'm not, even though my salary, because someone's salary can go up by 10% year on year, and you think it's a lot, but then they compare it to the naira devaluation, and then they're not seeing that. So those are some of the things that drive changes in people, that make people wake up one day and say, "What am I doing with my life? What next?" And so anytime your employees, especially the ones that are the most talented, ask what next? What next? It's important that your company is already answering that question for them.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah,
So for
yeah,
the employers, have
yeah,
answers for the employees' question,
yeah.
especially the question
That can
of
potentially come
what
up.
next. Then
Yeah,
for the employees, have a plan, have a career plan. That's what I think I'm driving from what you're saying. Like, have a career plan. Don't just say, I just want to start working for 5 or 10 years. I think for me, my career plan is to be in the industry for 2 years, write my professional exam, do some things, go some places and start my own companies in the nearest future. Yeah, so if you have a career plan, you would be bold enough to ask your employers questions. And
yeah,
even if they don't have answers at that point, they will be forced to look for answers and create systems for you to thrive. If they want you to stay, and like you said, employers should treat employees like individuals, not like
yeah. A
comparing an
collective.
employee to another, because they will have different career plans at every
Exactly,
point in time. So
exactly.
thank you very much for that answer.
You're
Another
welcome.
question that looks like it is that, how do you ensure that your team is able to adapt to rapid technological advancements, from AI to sustainability to 3D, mixed reality, virtual reality, all of those things. So, how, sir?
Um, well, so first of all, it starts from the top. Any change that would happen in an organization starts from the top. So because you see some, well, I don't want to diss anyone, I don't want to talk about anyone, but it starts from the top. So for
It's
us,
so
some of the
cool.
tools, like I mean, we implement.
Please, if you
Can
are
you hear me
still
clearly?
there, just okay.
Can you
Okay,
hear me
sir.
clearly?
I think I can hear you now. Yes, I
Okay,
can hear you. You're back now.
okay. All right. So for us now, we do work with AI a lot, and we've we've integrated it into our lifestyle almost. So, for example, before I know we use Gmail suite, that's Google suite in the company. So everyone uses Gmail. And Gmail's AI is Gemini. Before Gemini was even now, I think now it's included in the Gmail suite, especially the workplace, the one you pay for. Before it was there, we paid for it. And what that
Wow.
was anyone sending emails, for example, your AI tool can draft your email for you. You can continue a conversation
Yes.
for you. You can summarize an email for you without leaving your email tool. We also introduced ChatGPT. Like so, there's ChatGPT, there's Midjourney. There are different solutions that help people to generate ideas, think out of the box, especially from the generating ideas things. That aspect. Like for example, I use ChatGPT a lot. Like I have a pro account, so a lot of my strategy is done on there.
Oh,
And a lot of my thinking process is done on there, from strategy to planning to execution to even just asking ideas on general things. And you use it to a point where now we can track information, things I've discussed a year ago.
yes,
That's
sir.
how good those tools are. And so different people on the teams use those tools. We've explored Midjourney as well. So Midjourney helps you generate images. Sometimes the team is working on something they're thinking of artworks or something different, something out of this world. And then you go to AI, give it a very good prompts, and it gives you solutions. And so those are some things we've explored. Now I know there's some popular, um, for lack of a better word, attractive tools like augmented reality and virtual reality. We don't use that so much in Micdee, although I do think there are some industries where that makes sense. So, for example, if you're in the property development industry, I think it does make
Yes, sir.
sense to utilize augmented reality. If you're working on luxury, say you're doing luxury residential, it makes sense to invest in virtual reality because then you're dealing with individual clients. It doesn't quite work for us because we work with businesses, and many of those businesses they have multiple stakeholders. So it will be difficult to get all of them in a room and get them VR guests to go through an experience. But one thing we do that we actually do is almost every submission we make, we create this what do you call it, like these 360 images. So any document that goes in, the client can scan. There's a QR code for that project.
Okay.
You can scan
Yeah.
it, and it takes you into that project, like a 3D view of the project. And I can turn around and experience it and say, oh, do I like this or I don't like that? So those
Wow.
are some things we've explored because the goal is still simple. It's all these tools are means to an end. You're either trying to get the client to understand your solution better, and you're getting them to appreciate your solution, or you're trying to communicate what that solution is. And so
Right. Yeah.
that's why we use them. So like money, AI tools, technology is a means to an end in this industry. Yeah. And so
They missed you
you need
and
to understand that the goal is not the technology. The goal is not to become an AI expert. The goal is to be able to create solutions with those tools. And so that's what I would advise younger people. Because really, 10, 12 years ago, the skill sets were back then was doing 3D renders. When I
Yes.
started in 2015, when I finished my master's, the skill set then was to know how to do 3D renders. And at that point, the people that their skill set was doing working drawings became somewhat, everyone could now do working drawings. Do you understand? If you go to a company and tell them, I can do working drawings, there are 10 people that can do working drawings. But when you say I can do 3D renders and I can make them very realistic, that was a plus step.
Yes, sir.
Today, almost everyone can do 3D renders. Even AI can generate 3D renders for you
Very
without doing
fast.
anything. Do you
Yes.
understand? And so it makes sense that you need to be able to, if you're then going to implement that, then you should be the person that can work with those tools, because that's your plus. If you can't bring something new to the market, there's no reason for anyone to give you a job.
So another question I want to ask is about securing a career now. What do you think
Okay.
architectural firms and construction companies, or where our skill matter? Because now you don't just work with architectural firms and construction company. I know of somebody that is an architect, but he does more factory designs. So it's not just
Yeah.
limited to, like I said, the world has moved out of the traditional box thing, just the residential and all of that. So what do you think architectural firms and other people who are really, really in need of our skills, what are they looking for? Like, what are they looking for in new hires? People that they would hire today and you would get good pay, not people that will pay you 50,000 or like ridiculous salary. Things that you can actually do as somebody that wants to enter the market and you would get value for your time and money.
So first, let me address the statement. You said the world has gone away from residential. Well,
No,
I would say no.
I don't mean the world has gone away from residential,
Oh, no, no, no,
but
no, no,
there
no.
are other
No, no, no.
things aside.
I understand. So yeah, there are different opportunities. And the reason why it seems like residential is not as, and when I say residential, it means, um, I would say, let me call it budget residential as it is today. It's not as luxurious anymore because the barrier of entry is very low. And I'll explain.
Okay.
You don't even need to be an architect to design something and build it yourself now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's
It's
true.
it's not a plus. It's not a plus. It's not a plus for the environment. It's not a plus for the profession. It's not a plus for the world or the industry in any sense, because there's a reason why the role exists in the first place. It's the same reason. It's the same way many people can diagnose themselves today. You have a headache, you just assume it's malaria and you start taking malaria drugs. Now, because malaria is very common in this part of the world, maybe 9 out of 10 times you'll be correct and it'll be malaria and you solve it. But that you can easily access those drugs is a problem. The fact that you can even buy those drugs without a doctor's prescription is a problem. But that's a problem in this part of the world. The same thing applies to, I think, the building industry as a whole. Now, there's a statement our lecturers used to say, my lecturers when I was still in school, that if you study architecture, you can do anything. That the architects doing fashion design, doing
Yes, sir.
whatever. And I agree. I think there's an aspect of it. And part of me, I know architects are very proud. I think there's some there's some proud aspect of that reality where we believe we can do anything. But it's not wrong. It's not wrong. The core foundation of what you're taught gives you room to think creatively. Yeah.
Yes,
And I
sir.
think what people then need to do is to apply those principles you've learned to actually think creatively. Yeah. Like you said, I know people that studied architecture. Most of the people that were in my set in school, then in Covenant University, most of them don't practice today. They're in different industries. Some of them work in banks and they work in the physical environment sections of those banks. Some of them are in fashion. Some of them they're in different industries. Their experience from architecture helped them a lot. What we need to think, and I think what really needs to be done is architects need to stop thinking like the way the architects that came before us taught. And
Yes, sir.
I'll explain. um, there was a way to do things. Do you understand? There was a way. It wasn't bad. It was timely for that scene. It probably still works today, but it's not archaic. It's these days clients want things faster, not because they're impatient, but because that's the world we live in. Do you understand? That's the world we live in. Growing up, okay, I didn't experience it as much, but there's some people that growing up to communicate to someone in the village, you send them a letter. You don't know if someone is fine until they send you a letter. So you don't know if someone is alive for 3 months. Do you understand? That was the reality of
That's
some
true.
people growing up.
Yes,
But
sir.
now you can make a phone call. You can make a phone call and talk to someone in seconds anywhere in the world. And so everything is moving faster, which is why some clients believe, why has your industry not moved? Why can't you do things faster? Yeah. There's some detriments to these things, but if you can start to think like, and which is what helped us, we started to, I think just because of the clients we worked with at the beginning, we work with a lot of tech companies. Tech companies optimize things fast. Their goals, their real goal is to enter an industry and disrupt the industry. So if the industry works this particular way, they come in and they turn things over. They do things faster. They do things better. They do things cheaper. As I started to think about that, how do I do that in my industry? I work with businesses. Businesses are straight up thinking, obviously, business is going to need an office. Yeah. But now they're thinking, if I'm going to do an office, it needs to make sense. Do you understand? Why don't I just send all
Yes.
my people home on remote? If I'm going to spend 100 million on this office, I need to get my returns. And so that's where our thinking comes in. We can help you do the thinking. We can help you do the strategy. And then the solution we create helps you meet your needs. So now your office is not just an asset. It's not just an expense on your profit and loss statement. It's actually an investment. So that's where architects need to rethink. So even if you're going to do something in fashion, you have to rethink how you approach it. It's less about the result, it's more about the approach. It's more about how
The,
you
the
approach the
creativity
process.
you bring into
Yeah.
it.
And that's why I said don't think like the architects of world. Because the architects of world, there's a way to do things. It's not wrong, but you start with in school they teach you start your prelims. Then you do this. I don't remember the process of doing all of that. But you start your prelims, you do your concept design, you do your detailed designs, you do your working drawings, you do your details. That's how we're taught. Do you understand? Now that's not
Yes.
wrong, but there are ways to optimize these systems. And so if you're going to succeed in any industry, the first thing to do, and when I say succeed, I mean succeed in a way where you're one of the 1% excelling in that industry, even if it's in your locality. You need to think outside the box. You need to optimize, rethink how people currently think. Yeah. And you can discuss this across different industries. You can go into fashion, you can go into catering, anything. I think the core concept is our what we've learned in school helps us think creatively. Yeah. But this architecture is an art and a science. The art helps you think creatively. The science, in a way,
Yes,
restricts you
yes,
to
yes.
think within these guidelines.
Yes.
Sometimes you
So,
need to think beyond the guidelines. I'm not saying break the law, but sometimes you need to question some things. So when
yes.
I work with, so I'll round up this my response now. When I work with some of these tech companies, I tell them this cannot work. They ask you why. Why
Yes.
telling me we can't do this? Do you understand? And I'm saying it's not possible. Well, like, what do you mean it's not possible? Has anybody done it in the world? And then you find out like, oh, there's someone in Germany that is doing something else. Do you understand? And so it needs to start from why. Like, why are we doing this way? Why can't we rethink how we approach it? And then we realize that's the basis for any form of revolution you've seen in anywhere in the world, in any industry.
It's asking the why,
Yeah,
reason behind stuff.
yeah.
The reason behind
Because
stuff.
the
Yeah.
moment you understand the why, you can now rethink the approach. Does that make sense?
And I think the moment you discover the why, you can even defend your approach like to any length, and nobody would be
Yeah,
able to question your thoughts and everything.
yeah.
Yeah. So thank you very much. So
Or
to everyone there, think outside the box. Think outside the box. They might have taught us in school to do it the traditional way, but now we are out.
uh,
So
uh,
we need to. It's true. I have some
uh,
of my younger folks that would usually say this is how they were taught in school. I'll be like, no, do it this other way. You need to
yeah,
think beyond the traditional means. You need to think beyond those things. And another question I have here, you've already answered it. what
Okay.
AI tools do you use? You already said
Okay.
ChatGPT, Gemini. You gave us
Yeah, there are a number of them.
Mid-Journey.
Yeah, Mid-Journey, there's Sora. Sora is for image and video generation. I don't use those as much. So I'm more a strategic thinker. So the visual stuff is good. Sometimes it's useful. I know a lot of the people on my design team use that a lot. But for me, it's more analytical for me. So I'm more a text person. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So, what does an effective leadership look like in a dynamic design and construction environment?
Ah, that's a tricky question. And so when I say tricky, like there's no context to it. But there's a popular saying that um, good leadership is employing people and leaving them to do what you feel them to do. First, I think it's wrong, and I'm not the one that thinks that way. So there's the founder of Airbnb, Branches. So they've started rethinking how we approach leadership. Yeah, because many times, many of the books you read today that teach leadership, they're teaching leadership to management staff, not founders. And so this now I'm responding to people that probably own businesses or plan to own businesses. You need to be in the details. Yeah. Effective leadership is understanding every aspect of your business, then employing people to. So you're bringing in people to take on different aspects of the business, but you're not removing yourself from the system. The goal, I know the goal for many people is to start a business, you grow to 2,000 people, they're not around at all, and the business is still running.
Awesome.
Yeah. But if you do that, then it stops being your business. Now you're at the mercy of whatever they're doing in the industry. And so
Yes.
if there are five different departments, and those five departments are thinking in five different ways, you're in trouble. And before you come back, you've realized there are five different cohorts that believe their way is correct. And so as a leader, you need to be in the details. Now you need to bring in people, you need to first train them because they need to have some level of autonomy. Not full autonomy in the sense that just do what you're doing, just keep going. They need to have some level of autonomy that they can trust you, that you trust them to do the work. And you get them to that point by training. Because there's no well, there's no reason to trust anyone. So this is coming from maybe for some people that are employees as well to understand how employers should think or employers think. Sometimes Sometimes it's micromanagement, sometimes it's not micromanagement. They need to be in the details because things go wrong. And you want to make sure that when something goes wrong, your principal or your leader can foresee it because they know. Because if there are 10 steps in a process or in a design process, and something goes wrong at step nine, if your leader has never been, it was never in the process, you might have to start from scratch. But if your leader is actually skilled at what they do and they've been in your shoes before, because when you start a business, you're the designer, you're the engineer, you're the HR, you're
And
finance,
the
you're legal,
QS. Yeah,
you're the
everything.
QS. Yeah, you might have at stage five, you might have realized that something might go wrong with this approach we're taking, even if it's just from reading the reports because you understand the process. And so a key part, especially that is being in details, understanding the business enough to do the work at an average level, but then bringing in people you trust that can do better than you. But you're still in the details. You're still seeing the reports, not just reports from the general view, but reports because you understand what is going on. And this is also important because you're driving the vision. You're driving the vision of the company. Your company's vision is what drives every action. Really, every
Sure.
day-to-day action in a business should align with the vision of the
The
owner.
vision
Um,
of the company.
yeah, I can call, and I don't want to mention some schools. You can go to some schools where the owner started with this idea. This is what I want to do. But now they're so detached from it that the students know this, or the leader does not stand for this. But it's too far away from the process to know that there are some people in the system that have changed what it looks like. That's so the end result now is not as fruitful as it should have been. And that's just because the leader is distant from the process. That applies to businesses as well. You need to be in the details, you need to understand the business, and then you then trust people to do their work. but with an understanding that you know exactly what they are doing, you know when they are doing it. You are not watching their day to day. But if they tell you this person is in Ghana tomorrow, maybe an employee, you know when they are in Ghana, you know what they are doing in Ghana. Yeah. You can't say what their hourly by hourly task is, but you know what is happening in Ghana. Does that make sense? So that's what my idea of effective leadership is. I don't think I've scratched the surface of what that's. I'm just trying to introduce a concept. Anyone listening can go look up Brian Chesky, is the founder of Airbnb, and there's a lot of conversation now about it's called founder mode. It's called founder mode. So a lot of conversations around what does that look like? What is the true sense of what the founder is and what the business owner is? How should you think? How should you approach this? Because a lot of the books that are out there are teaching the opposite of what you need to do to run a business. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's one. The other aspects of it, and it pains me that I'm going to mention some of this I'm going to mention because to me it's bare minimum. Treat your employees well. It's bare
Yes, sir.
minimum.
Yes,
Like
sir.
treat your employees well. Like I said, first of all, you treat your employees as individuals, not as a collective. I know this is prevalent in Nigeria, and I'm
Very,
saying
very,
this.
sir.
That's why I can
Yes, sir.
say this now. Uh, before they come to you, even if you have 10,000 staff, they are still human beings, and at the very least, they deserve to be treated as human beings. And if you've signed a contract with them, for example, the least you can do is commit to that contract. Like if you want more resources, I think to whom much is given, much is expected. So, for example, if you have your employees, their contract probably says 9 to 5. I'm sure that's what labor laws allow. But I know there are many firms where people don't do 9 to 5, where people sleep in the office, where people do 9 to 10, where people work throughout the entire weekends. I know there are companies like that, and there's no remuneration for any of this. There's no reward for this. In fact, it's almost a threat that if you don't do it, there's someone else at the door waiting to take your place. And I think this is just to business owners. If you don't own a business and you plan to, they showed you shaggy. So when you start to, you do your own back. We need to rethink that at the very least. I think at the core essence, treat people like human beings. I
Yes,
don't
sir.
think I don't think I need to say more. I think it's quite straightforward. I don't know why it might sound like a difficult concept today, especially to employees that work in maybe toxic organizations. But treat people as human beings, which is why, unfortunately, and I have to say this, which is why many of the founders don't like jerseys, because jerseys don't stand you. You should understand.
They want
But I
their
think at the
salary when they want their salary. Anything you want to do.
yeah, and pay salaries, that's a different conversation because
Yeah.
I, I don't want to go into that. But at the very
And there's
least,
anything about mental health and all of
treat
those.
treat people as
Yeah.
human beings.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I think that should explain everything.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. So
You're welcome.
me, I would usually say, today you're an employer. Some of your employees today will become employers tomorrow, and some
Yeah.
of us here will become employers tomorrow. I have a group of friends that we did our lecture together, and one
Okay.
of our motto is that whatever was done to us that was wrong, we will ensure that it ends with us, especially in architecture. I have bosses that still hold me salaries from way back. So the last question I have for acted Michael is that what are the actionable steps and key mindsets that you think architects of today and architects who would love to be relevant in the future
Yeah.
we should adopt?
If all you can do today is all if you look at your skill set today, if you look at yourself and you just do a simple survey of your don't let me say of your life because that seems too deep. But can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you do a simple survey of your life today and the skill sets you have now are the same skill sets you had 5 years ago, I think you're in trouble. I think you're in serious trouble because the world is evolving a lot faster than we can see. Now, I think the saving grace for Africa is still, and it's not really a blessing, but Africa is still somewhat backwards compared to where the world is. What the world is exploring now with technology is far, far beyond where we are. Yeah. But I think that's a blessing in disguise because where there are many issues, there are many solutions. There are many opportunities. Let me call them opportunities. And I think that's where we need to leverage on. But do a simple analysis of yourself. If you're in your company today and all you can do, if everyone can do what you can do, there's an issue. If you're not actively improving yourself in something, there's an issue. Not everyone is going to be in tech. I think
Yes,
tech
sir.
in itself tech in itself as an industry is an enabler. Do you understand? And tech enables on. There's no company that is a technology company just for the sake of it. If you realize they're usually attached to something, so it's fintech, it's property tech, it's health tech, is pharmacy tech, is agri tech. One way or the other, it's latching onto an existing industry and elevating that industry. So if you're going to do something different, you need to first figure out what you want to do with your life. Let's start from there, and then find out the people that are doing excellent things. You can just go to the West. When I say West, go to the Western world, see what they're doing in USA, see what they're doing in Europe, see what they're doing in China, see what they're doing in Japan, in your industry, and just really, and that's how low the benchmark is in this part of the world. And I say it's part of Nigeria. If you improve yourself by 10%, 10, 20%, you'll be ahead of almost everybody
Yes, sir.
because we have a lot of opportunities that need solving. And we also have a lot of, um, for lack of a better word, we don't see the opportunities. Everyone today is saying Japa, Japa. And in the same vein, we're seeing foreign countries come to Africa.
Yes, sir.
Everyone over there is saying Africa is the future. Here we're
Yes, sir.
saying we are
Africa
missing out.
is the
So,
problem.
do you understand? And where we see problems, they see opportunities. Where we see bad growth
Yes,
and
sir.
say, I can't do this. Someone in China is seeing, that's a potential project. That's a potential contract. Where we say, we don't have a lot of ships coming to Nigeria, we don't have manufacturing, so we can't manufacture. Someone over there is seeing they have a lot of resources. I should go there and set up a factory and use those resources. Do you understand? And so we just need to elevate beyond where we are. I can't give so much. I can't say, oh, go and learn how to do 3D designs. That doesn't help anyone. Or I say, go and learn AI. If it's not in use for something, it's useless. Do you understand? So, for
Yes, sir.
example, there's a solution. What's his name? Apoko Doctor released recently. I think it's our doc or something. So it's just basically AI for consulting, health consultation. So you want to speak to a doctor. Some people have optimized that. Normally, you walk into a hospital to see a doctor. There are some tools where they can match you with a doctor online. Some people are doing it on WhatsApp. Now he's done it in a way where you can do it with AI. Now, is it foolproof? I don't know. I don't know anything about that industry. But it's doing something a step beyond what is normal here. And people will back that because if it does well here, the opportunities are boundless. And so that's how we've done so well as a business. Before we were here, there are companies building offices before us, but it wasn't like a clear niche. It was just when people wanted to build offices, they would go to normal architectural firms, and the offices were simple: white walls, table and chair. If your company's color is yellow, it paints one wall yellow. If your company's color is blue, it paints one wall blue. That's what it was. Yeah. And then some companies came up and then started thinking, wait, their Google offices are abroad. That's like some younger companies, I can mention some names, Space Finish, Micdee, Spazio, James Kidd Interiors. We came in and we said, oh no, like they're doing something better in the West. Those people are spending money on their offices and it's getting them returns. Their employees are happier. Their employees are collaborating more. We can bring those solutions here. And that have grown so fast because even though that industry has always existed, the solution for it wasn't perfect for it. It was a makeshift solution. And so when we created a solution that actually works, it was easy for businesses to just turn and say, we want to do our offices, we go to businesses that do offices. Does that make sense?
Yes,
And so that's what I think people need to think about first. You can start from a passion perspective. I'm passionate about this. Let me design a solution that works in that line. Or let me learn and um, match myself to companies that are doing something in that line. One thing I would also say that we don't take for granted, especially young people, learn. And when I say learn, I know we made a joke earlier about not wanting to work in a place where they pay 50K. I know it's a running joke, but nobody has done anything worthwhile in this life. I'm not saying to subjugate yourself. Let me not say, I'm not saying go and work with a
Like
bad
you need to
person.
do it for free at some point before you get to the big gigs.
I don't know if it's going to be for free. They say exposure. They say exposure does not pay.
Yes,
That's a lie.
sir.
Exposure pays. Exposure pays a lot. There's a guy that, and I know his company was there, they were doing quite well. He did Burna Boy's house. I've forgotten his name. Exposure paid him because it's Burna Boy's house. We've done work for businesses that are bigger than us. We've done work for MTN, UAC. Exposure paid us well beyond the money they paid us. Because now we're speaking to companies and it's, oh, what have you done in the past? Oh, we did UAC, we did MTN, we did PwC. Oh, simple, we can work with you. Do you understand? That's exposure. That's not the money. It means the work we did for MTN in the past or the work we did for PDVest in the past is still paying till today. And so that's wisdom is understanding what value you can potentially get beyond what is obvious. And that's what most of what is obvious is financial reward. So if it means you go to work and please take this with a pinch of salt. If it means you go to work in a toxic environment, but you have the mindset that all I want to learn from here is this one thing, and I have 1 year to learn it. And in that 1 year, it's like going back to, pardon me to say, Nigerian public university. I didn't go to public university, so I don't know. I've heard stories. I've heard stories. If it means you then go to like going to that place and then all you take to your mind is, I need to learn this, and it's going to take me 1 year. I'm not going to like it. Yeah. Once I'm done with 1 year, I'm out of here. And that knowledge, no one can take this knowledge from me. But it needs to be on your own terms. That's what I'll say. It needs to be on your own terms. If you're going to work with in a toxic environment, let it be that there's something tangible you want to take from there. But there's a time for sowing. There's a time for sowing. There's a time to do the work without a lot of returns. That idea of what is it, overnight success is a big lie. It's a big lie. Yeah. There's a time for sowing. There's a time for digging deep. Yeah. And then when the result shows, you now look back and say, oh, it makes sense that I worked in this place for 1 year. I'm like somebody saying it was hell, but I can see the results 5, 7 years down the line. There's someone's comments I want to respond to. Um, and something about, can I read it?
Yes, sir, you can, sir.
Yeah, so I've noticed that those who went to the West have a pattern of leadership that usually suppresses the younger ones. Why should we go to the West again? Why can't we establish an independent system? Um, there's something I'm not saying in absolute we just go and lift what they have in the West. But there's a saying, there's a popular saying, what an elder can see sitting down, a youth can climb a ladder and not sit.
Yes, sir.
There is you can learn experience in different ways. You can gain experience in different ways. You can gain experience personally. You can gain experience from other people's experiences. There are
Other
people
people's
today,
failures.
yeah, there are people today that are vowed that they will be good parents to their children just because of the way their parents raised them. Yeah, because your parents have raised you to a point where, oh, now you're wise, you're sensible. Well, they had some flaws. And then you take what was good and you also take what was bad and say, I will not do those things. I think the West has evolved in a way where I do disagree that they suppress the younger ones. I disagree a lot. It varies of maybe I don't know what you're referring to as the West, but no civilization is devoid of its challenges. Yeah, in every civilization that has done well, there are errors they've made, there are failures they've made. But you can't throw um, the baby and the bathwater away. Yeah, if we're going to learn what the future of construction is in Nigeria, we have to start from looking at what the West has, because they are a few years ahead of us.
Yes, sir.
Does that make sense? So that's why
Yes,
if
sir.
you're going to chat, and it's expo, it's simple expo. If you enter school and they tell you this lecturer does the same exam, he gives the same exam questions every year. Wisdom is going to the set that's gone before you to go and ask the past questions. Do you understand?
Yes,
That's
yes, sir.
wisdom. Yeah. So I think that's we need to bring that. You can't. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn from people that have gone ahead of us, and then we can then take that solution, optimize it for our environment. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you very much, sir. I really feel like going on and on because I know we have a lot we can learn
Yeah.
from you, but unfortunately,
Time.
we really, really need
Yeah.
to round up now. I want to say thank you very much for coming, and I want to announce to everybody that this is a mentor, a mentor mentee IG Life, and I'm representing the Future Design Collaborative, and I want to thank everyone at the Future Design Collaborative for the opportunity to have this time with architect Michael. It's really
Awesome.
been a good one. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I hope that we would still have more of this. Thank you very much, sir, for sharing with us from your wealth of knowledge. And I also want to give room to one or two persons. Do you have any question? Please drop it in the comment section. I think Mr. Michael can will be able to attend to one or two as we are past time. So I want us to drop what we have learned so far from this IG life. I want us to drop what we've learned so far from this IG life. One of the things he said while we're closing now is that we should keep learning. We should keep learning. And I know that it's not saying that we should go and copy the solution from the West, but we should apply it to our own problems. A lot of us complain about
Yeah.
the architecture industry in Nigeria, the construction industry in Nigeria. We are so quick to see the problems, but let's calm down and do some critical thinking. And we are sure the solution will come through to us. I know the solution will come through to us. So let's not just be so critical about the problems alone. When we sit and think thoroughly, the solution will come to us. So I want to
Yeah.
thank you very much, Architect Michael. Like I said, I'm still going back to your account to consume some of those content I see there. Thank you very much, sir.
You're
If
very
you would
welcome.
want to follow Architect Michael, his IG account is Michael Awonowo, and I think he's also on LinkedIn. Am I right, sir?
You're correct.
Yes, but can you tell us your LinkedIn
Oh,
account?
same thing,
Okay,
Michael. I want to same thing.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, our audience. Thank you very much for joining. And on this note, we would like to end this IG live.